everybody. Welcome, welcome. Good morning, maybe good afternoon, maybe good night, wherever you're coming from. We are so glad. I'm so happy to have you here live with us, streaming today. It's been a while since I've been on a Twilio stream, so let me introduce myself. My name is Emily Shinfield. I am a developer educator on the team here, and I am so excited to talk to you about a couple exciting things we announced this week. We'll get to talk to the team, we'll get to see a live demo, and we're here. We're here to talk to you. We've got chat available, so please make use of it. Ask questions. Let us know what you're excited about or what you're interested in hearing more about. And to get those chat muscles warmed up, if everybody could let me know, where are you watching from? Where are you dialed in from? I'm here in San Francisco. It is a beautiful blue day outside. We got Philadelphia. Hey, Brent, running the show here. I'm sure we've got people all over, and I'm excited to have you. We'll see some other, but keep those chat muscles going. You know, your fingers. I'm sure you're typing all day, but you still got to keep them active, keep them moving. All right, as we get those rolling in, we got some Denver. A curiosity about the balcony plants. I see they're not doing so well right now, so that's why they're a little out of focus in the background. They look much nicer that way. Awesome, really, South Africa. How cool! We've got a global audience. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Keep it going. Talk to each other in chat. Ask us questions. We're here. But I want to dive right in. I want to get started. I have the very exciting job of talking to you about two announcements we made this week. And if you know Twilio at all, if you're new to Twilio, welcome. We're glad you're here. But if you've interacted with us before at all, you know that building is a really important part of our company ethos and kind of how we work and how we think about our products. And in service of that, this week, we launched Twilio Alpha, which is a new program from Twilio's emerging technology and innovation team to showcase Twilio's research and to give developers hands-on access to the work that we're doing so that they can give us feedback and kind of engage with us on that work. And that's why we're glad you're here. Whether you're a developer or not, we're excited to talk to you about Twilio Alpha today. And in light of that announcement, we also announced AI Assistants this week, which is the first project launched under the Twilio Alpha program. And AI Assistants is a platform for creating specialized AI assistants that integrate directly with the Twilio ecosystem. I think this is when I heard about this project, I was like, yeah, obviously, that makes so much sense. And I'm excited to see it come to fruition. And I'm excited to see it kind of live in the world and be available for you all to try. So I want to start, I don't want to bury the lead here. You can request access to AI assistants today by signing up for the wait list, and we'll be onboarding cohorts of developers week over week to try out the tool for free and to show us what you build. We're excited to gather that feedback and kind of hear what you have to say. And since you're here live watching us, we want to give you some prioritized access to that waitlist. So when you sign up for the waitlist, which we'll drop a link in the chat, when you sign up for that waitlist, there's a field that says, hey, tell us about your use cases. And we do want to hear about your use cases, but also include the words pizza box. I'll repeat that. Pizza box in that wait list, in that field when you're signing up, and we'll bump you up the wait list because we're so glad that you're here and engaging with us early. So again, there's a link in the chat to sign up for that wait list. You can do that right now. Add pizza box as a part of your use case response, and we'll give you some prioritized access. But that's all the talk from me at the top. I'm here today mostly to talk to the Alpha team about this project, about Twilio Alpha broadly, to kind of get an intro to the program and understand what it is. So I'm very glad to introduce Rachel Baskin, a principal product manager on the emerging tech and innovation team here. Hey, Rachel, how's it going? Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm excited to be back on stream. Is this your first time streaming with Twilio too? Hey, all right, we got a first timer. Exciting. Well, I know everybody's excited to hear from you. As I mentioned, we launched Twilio Alpha this week, which is an avenue for Twilio to share our research and innovation and emerging technology, like the impact of AGI on customer engagement, as we're seeing with this AI assistance project. But I'm curious, before all of this, do you have any insight on what prompted the formation of Alpha?
products. And what
Hey,
Twilio Alpha,
hold on. Sorry,
yeah,
one sec, Rachel. We're seeing in chat. It sounds like we can't hear you. Brent, is that oh, all right. We're on. Rachel,
okay.
can we start that one more time? What prompted the formation of
Yeah.
Alpha? Thanks.
You got it. So as you've mentioned, and as we all know, there's so much innovation and change happening in technology right now, specifically in the AI and AGI space. And so with Twilio Alpha, we really want to research and investigate how is AI going to impact customer engagement? How is AI going to impact Twilio communications and data products in the long term? So what Twilio Alpha is going to allow us to do is to start publishing and sharing our work early in the process, and really gain, continue our engagement with customers, gain feedback and insights from our developer community really quickly, and also start to position Twilio as a thought leader in the AI space. And so really thinking around this question of like, how is AI and AGI and LLMs going to disrupt customer engagement and be at the forefront of that disruption? And so that's really kind of the formation and why we launched Twilio Alpha.
Awesome. It's so cool to see space for that kind of longer term
Totally.
research to happen because there is so much changing all the time. And especially with this AI, kind of the innovation in AI, I can see how that will be really valuable for us.
Yeah.
Um, Given that, and especially that longer time horizon maybe is a part of this, but what's the difference between projects that you're working on as a part of Twilio Alpha and other Twilio products that we know and love, like programmable messaging and all the hits?
Yeah. I mean, I'll just say like Twilio across the board is innovating with AI. Like you mentioned a few, but like Flex Agent Copilot, voice intelligence, segment predictions, like we are not the only team at Twilio investigating AI and AGI. So like I just want to start there. I would say the main difference, and I've talked about this a little bit, is like we're looking at a much longer time horizon. So we're thinking 5 to 10 years down the line, how is this technology really going to transform the customer engagement space? And then, like I mentioned before, being able to share at a faster pace, right? A lot of our traditional R&D teams are working through, public betas and then general availability. We're really thinking much earlier than that. We're thinking pizza box sketches, prototype, developer preview, where we might not have all of the experiences fully fledged out, but the ability to share earlier will allow us to get more feedback and figure out like, okay, are we hitting a good use case? Are we driving, what customers need, or are we missing the mark? We need to like look somewhere else. So I think really the time horizon, thinking much farther down, as well as how we're sharing and launching really early. But everyone's innovating, right? Everyone at Twilio is innovating, and so I think there's amazing things happening across the company. And Twilio Alpha just is one research arm that's really focused on long-term disruption.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And I've seen, and I hope you all viewers are able to check out some of those products that Rachel mentioned, like voice intelligence is a really cool kind of voice AI product that we have already on our platform that integrates AI into your voice conversations and is a really interesting thing to check out. I recommend that. There's a ton of other things, unified profiles and Flex, and kind of the stuff happening with data across the platform is also really exciting. So this feels like just a nice kind of the icing on the cake. I don't know if that's the right metaphor, but I'll work on it as we go. The pepperoni on the pizza. Also, maybe I'm going to step back. I didn't explain the pizza box reference, and Rachel, you mentioned pizza box sketches
Yep.
also. Maybe for context, for anybody who doesn't know, the earliest conception of Twilio happened in Sharpie on the back of a pizza box, and so we talk about it as like the way to really get started and kind of have that entrepreneurial builder spirit is embodied in the pizza box.
Definitely.
Cool. What else has Alpha worked on so far? I know this is the first time we're talking about it publicly, but I know the team's been hard at work already for a while.
Yeah. So our viewpoint is like we feel very confident that generative AI is going to transform the way that companies communicate with their customers. But a lot of the challenges that we've seen and heard are how do you keep that engagement really personalized, and make the experience delightful? Like I'm sure folks on this stream, can understand when you're talking with a company and you're talking with an AI agent, you might immediately just want to transfer to a human agent. So how do we make that experience feel really personalized and enjoyable that you actually want to continue to talk to the agent and they're actually helpful? And so our first few projects really explored how to leverage all of the data that our companies have about their customers, whether that's like modeled data, like transactional data, or interaction data, like website visits, et cetera, as well as unstructured data. The amount of data that folks have in their communication channels, like voice, SMS, email, right? There's so much data you can get about your communications with customers. So taking that structured and unstructured data and really creating like what we're calling kind of customer memory. So in order to create really personalized experiences that make sense for each individual customer, it's foundational that you have kind of like that view of your customer across your structured and unstructured data. And so we've kind of bundled that up in the idea of customer memory. And AI Assistants really allows us to bring customer memory. It's a tool to really start playing around with customer memory, as well as a few other things. You'll see it. It's all really super awesome, and you'll see it in the demo. But AI Assistants can really leverage all of these data sources in the form of customer memory and then talk to your customers in a really personalized way. So super excited to show you guys how that works. But I would say, majority is how can we leverage all this data and information to create really personalized and exciting experiences? Customer memory is kind of what we've worked on so far. We're showing it in AI Assistants with a few other features. And so that's kind of where our alpha focus has been, but excited for a lot more to come too.
Awesome. This is a kind of a non sequitur, but I've been helping my mom clean out her storage locker. She has like a locker where she kind of has kept stuff in the past, and this brings to mind the idea that we're creating so much data in the world in the same way that like we have so much stuff maybe,
Yep.
and the hard part is not having the stuff. The hard part is like making sense of it and kind of deciding what's valuable. And so it's exciting to see this work, start to do that. There's only going to be more data in the world, I
Yeah.
think.
I mean, I think it's been
Awesome.
a huge theme that we've heard across the AI and machine learning space is like your models and your outcomes and your products are only going to be as good as the information you give it, right? So like bad data in is going to be bad data out. And so I think that's a really important focus for us. And really important focus for like 5 to 10 years down the line. If AI is really going to be as big as we all think it's going to be, like that's going to be foundational to its success.
Yeah, for sure. So that's we thanks for that overview of kind of what you've been thinking about so far. I'm curious if you put on your futurist hat and think out on that 5 to 10 year time horizon, or maybe shorter. But what sort of things do you think Alpha might explore in the future? Do you have any big bets or thoughts about what's cool? And while you're answering this, chat, if you have things, what would you like to see Alpha explore in the future? Drop them in the chat while we talk.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's hear from the community. I think continuing to explore this idea of customer memory is definitely on the forefront. I think otherwise, like two other areas that are super interesting, being Twilio. I think one is channels, right? Twilio has every channel you can think of: voice, SMS, email, WhatsApp, etc. What are the new channels that are going to come in this AI world, right? Like we interact with businesses, directly through marketing emails, but also often indirectly now, right? We watch YouTube reviews that are not owned by the company, but by someone else. Is that a channel now that we need to think about how you can interact with your customer and consume that data to, create more personalized experiences? So I think new channels and how is AI going to impact channels is one area we really want to look into. And I would say the second is around APIs. Like, what role are APIs going to have in the future? How important are they? How are they going to change? Can an agent potentially, or an AI assistant potentially do what an API does today in a different way? So, like, how are APIs going to change 5 to 10 years? I don't think APIs are going away, but I think how we build them and how we interact with them might change. So I think that's kind of one of the other areas that we're interested in, and those are focus areas right now. But I can assure you that I'm sure there'll be more as we continue to research and get feedback from everybody in the community.
Yeah, for sure. I think that those are both really interesting fronts, and like the idea that channels might change is so fascinating. How are we going to communicate in 5 and 10 and 20 years?
Yeah.
Uh, Alex says robots. I think that's a channel in and of itself. We explored that a little last year at Signal. You have any plans with robots, Rachel?
No plans at this time, but there is some cool robot stuff. There's a cool assistant robots, and I mean, there's this whole metaverse thing that we have no idea what that's going to do. So there's just so much to be looked into.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. We'll keep those ideas coming, everybody. We love to hear it and see what you're interested in. And finally, Rachel, for you, I'm curious how we hopefully have a lot of Twilio developers with us today. Obviously, that community is so important to us and foundational to what we do as a business. So, how do you see Alpha and maybe AI assistants specifically making Twilio developers' lives better, and why should they pay attention?
Definitely. I mean, our developer community is so core to Twilio. And I think with the launch of Twilio Alpha, with the launch of AI assistants, we really want to lean into this community for that idea of feedback and input. And as much as we can research and try to figure out what's next for Twilio, what's next for customer engagement, what really matters is what our customers need and what our developers need. So we really want to work closely with developers. That's why we want to share our work early. We want to get comments. We want to get feedback. We want to figure out where we're missing core use cases or where functionality needs to improve. So we really want to lean into that developer community to shape the future of customer engagement together. Like we can't do this without our developers and our customers. And I just saw in the chat around like low code. I mean, I think that's super important to us too. Like I will say as a product manager, I'm decently technical, but I'm no coder. And we definitely want to get things like AI assistants out there to say, hey, if you're a developer, here's, how you can do this through the APIs, but also like there's a console. You can do this low code, play around and still be able to evaluate and give us feedback. So definitely leaning into both areas. But yeah, so we're just really hoping our community and our developer community can really be a part of our early innovation here.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. And yeah, I identify as a developer myself. I've written code in my career, but these days, like a lot of what I turn to are those low code tools. So you will definitely we haven't forgotten about you, and you're an important part of that our community and of this work. And you'll get to see actually in our demo, I think some ways that you can interact with AI assistants that aren't code based necessarily. Thank you so much, Rachel. That was an awesome intro and overview of Twilio Alpha. And I'm so excited to have been able to work with you on this project, excited to do more of that in the future. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks.
Cool. Uh, Next up, we've got a little more excitement, a little more hands-on. I know we all love a demo. I especially love a demo. I started at Twilio as a demo engineer, so it's kind of my bread and butter to think about demoing products. And we get an excellent person with us to demo, which I'll tell you about in just a moment. But before I do that, I want to remind you again, you can sign up for the waitlist to access Twilio AI Assistants today, where we're onboarding cohorts of developers week over week. So we'll drop that link in the chat again. Go sign up if you haven't yet to get on the wait list. And since you're here with us live, we want to give you a bump up that list. So include the words pizza box as part of your answer about what your use cases are, what you're thinking about for how to use AI assistants. And that's a flag to us to bump you up the list. So in the meantime, though, I want to show you rather than tell you. And I mentioned we have an awesome person here to do that demo for you. We have Chris Brox, who's a senior solutions engineer on the emerging tech and innovations team. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Hi, Emily. How's it going today?
Good. I love your camera setup there. It looks. We talked about this in
Yeah.
rehearsals. You look so cinematic. It's like you're straight out of a movie. Yep. Yep.
Yes. No autographs, please. No autographs.
Awesome. Well, Chris, I'm excited to have you here to show us kind of how to go from zero to something with AI assistants, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to show it. It's a really cool tool. I love it. I saw it before I joined this team. It was part of the reason why I wanted to join this team so bad because I was building and wanted an easier way to build some conversational AI interfaces. So very excited to show it to you today.
Awesome. Well, I will let you take it away. I'll hand it over to Chris. You're in good hands. I'm excited to watch this demo myself.
Okay, awesome. So I'm assuming everyone can see my screen. I'm actually going to start off on Twilio's website, where you can see some awesome things about what Twilio is doing for our customers in the customer engagement space. But the way I'm going to access AI assistants is by logging into Twilio. And if you don't have an account, when you do get access, you can hit start for free and set up a Twilio account. But I'm actually already logged in. So let me go to the Twilio console here. And I have found my AI assistants product, and I can click my assistants. So I'll go to my assistants. I've got a few here for different use cases. I've built some for demoing for like an airline who wants to help people with their baggage. We've done some for retail. We've done some for sales use cases. But what we've learned is that people want to build, they want to automate customer interactions. And that could be around service, of helping your customers get the information and support they need to be successful. It could be around sales, about selling them new products and letting them know about the value of your products, or even onboarding where you're helping them use a new product. But today I want to build a demo scheduler bot or assistant. And the reason is because we launched this thing on Monday. The feedback has been fantastic. And there's a lot of people reaching out saying, hey, I want to demo this thing. I want to see it. And I'm a little overwhelmed with all that. So I want to build an AI assistant where I can say, I'm too busy. Please talk to my assistant. They'll get you scheduled for a demo. So let's do it from scratch here. Okay. I'm going to go to create assistant. We'll call it AI assistant demo scheduler. And we'll click create. It already gave it that name. We'll say the company is Twilio, best company ever. For the segment in customer AI features, this allows me to use customer data and the concept of customer memory. So we believe this is going to be key into providing really good customer engagements in the sense that you need to know who you're talking to. You need to learn about them as you're talking to them. So the customer AI personalization engine takes information from the customer profile and gives it to the assistant to have a hyper personalized conversation. And the AI perception engine is looking at every message sent and extracting that data to enrich the customer profile in real time. And the idea there is the more you talk to your customers, the more you learn about your customers. The more you learn about your customers, the better engagements you can provide them. So we are definitely turning on those features. And then let's give it a personality prompt. So this is where you just give it a grounded personality and tell it what you want it to do. So I'm going to say, you are a helpful sales development rep. Has anyone else found that like autocorrect has made them a horrible speller? Like, cause it just does it for you now.
Yep, totally.
To schedule demos of Twilio AI Assistants, customers will reach out to you to learn more about Twilio AI Assistants. Okay, so we'll click Save Changes. And now this assistant needs to know, like, what is Twilio AI Assistants? We just launched it on Monday, so it definitely does not have that knowledge to reach out to. So let's start with giving it the right knowledge. And knowledge, you can think of this as like enterprise knowledge that grounds the assistant in factual data that you want to make sure that it is using in the responses that it gives to your users. And there's a few ways you can get that knowledge in there. You can give it through a website, you can give it through raw text, you can upload some files, or you can even connect to Pinecone, which is an awesome vector database. But in this case, let's just connect it. We've got twilioalpha.com here, and on it, we've got Twilio AI Assistants. Let's just take this link and put it here, and we'll give it a name. We'll call it Product Overview, and we'll say an overview of Twilio AI Assistants. Contains the value of AI assistants that can be used to articulate why people should use it. Okay, we're going to do a page depth of 1 and save as a new source. And it's going to start crawling this website and getting the information it needs to power this assistant with information about Twilio AI assistants. So there we go.
Chris, can you tell us what is that page depth is related to, like how deep it goes into the web page structure? Is that right?
That's exactly like how many links it's going deep into, because you have a website and it has links on that website. You might want to crawl like the entire website and just each link you find keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. Right. But the Twilio Alpha website is pretty simple, so we don't need to crawl too much there.
Awesome, cool, thanks.
Yeah. All right. So there is a simulator here, and let's go ahead and test our assistant. We're going to give it a user identity so it knows who we're talking to. And we'll do create, and we'll say, hey, tell me more about Twilio AI Assistants. And let's see what happens here. The reason I like the simulator is because it tells you how the assistant is thinking, something you might not see like in production when it's deployed over like SMS or website or web chat or WhatsApp. But you can see that it used the personalization engine here to get the information about the user. Since we gave it an identity, we're assuming we know who this user is. So we're going to use that customer data. And then it's going to use that product knowledge that we just gave it and ask it a question. What is Twilio AI Assistants? And it gives us a really great response that's grounded in the information that's been provided to this website. So that is awesome. But this is not just an informational assistant. We want it to do things as well. And in this case, we want it to schedule some times for a demo. So let's go back to our assistant configuration. And for that, we'll use tools. Tools allow you to connect to some kind of external system like a third-party API or an enterprise system. I saw someone in the chat had mentioned like low-code tools. You can connect to some of those low-code automation tools as well, which would be pretty cool. But let's do this. I already have some APIs ready. So I'll say get times free for demo, and we'll say returns a list of times free for a demo of Twilio AI Assistants. And the reason I'm giving it a name and a description is because this is what allows the assistant to know when to use this tool. So if you think about like, I don't know, 2 years ago when you were building a conversational AI app, you'd go through like this decision tree and you'd say, if the person wants this, then go down this route. If the person wants this, go down this route. And then you'd have this giant, massive like decision tree at the end of the day to manage for your conversational AI. You don't need that anymore. Now you just tell the assistant like what these tools are, and it will intelligently know when to use them. And it does a really good job at that. So I'm going to go ahead and yeah, it's pretty sweet. I've got this tool here. And I'm just going to do a simple GET request. I'm not going to use the input schema here, but I'll use it on another tool. So I'll show you that in a second. And I'm also not going to require that the user needs to be verified with Twilio Verify before they use this tool. So let's create the tool and turn it on. And we'll go back to our simulator to test and see if it works. So we'll say, awesome. Are you free for a demo next week? And let's see what happens here.
I do love it's kind of like in math class when your teacher says, show your work. It's like you get to see the thought process going in and the calls there. That's fun for debugging.
Yeah,
I can see how that
it's
would be
pretty
really valuable.
sweet. Yeah, it is. And they actually, there's like research that shows that like when large language models show their work, they perform a lot better. So it's getting times free for a demo. You can see it used this tool because it knew that it needed to use it. And this is the response that came from that tool. So this is an integration with an app called Calendly, wonderful app for scheduling that I use all the time. And it's gone into multiple calendars that I have because I use like multiple Gmail accounts, and it's found all the times that I'm free. And it's returned that and given that information to the assistant. And the assistant can take all of that information and then structure a response like this, which is awesome. Okay. But so you see it like I love how it formatted it, by the way. That's beautiful. Because have you ever like tried to send someone when you're free? That is the most annoying thing you have to do. When I was like a sales rep and I had to like say, when do you want to schedule a demo? Like you'd have to look through people's calendars. You'd have to type it out and do all these like bullet points. It was,
my hot take is that scheduling large groups for something is like one of the world's largest unsolved problems.
Yeah, I'm so shocked. Like, why can't you just put in the names of everyone you want there and just find a time? It's strange. All right, so let's go back and let's add one more tool. We're gonna add a tool to schedule a demo. So we'll call this schedule demo. And the description we'll give it is use this to schedule a demo of Twilio AI Assistants. You must know the day the user wants to schedule. Yeah, so this time it's going to be a post request, and we are going to, by the way, if there's any developers on this, and don't abuse my endpoints here, okay? Be nice. And this time we're going to do schedule. And this is actually using a Google Calendar integration to just use the Google Calendar API to schedule a demo. So I'm going to say the input that it needs. Now the input is, what does the assistant need to use this tool? Well, it needs the person's name, which is a string. And I'm going to say that that's the name of user scheduling call. And then I'm going to say it needs an email, which is a string. And then I'm going to say it needs the schedule date, which is also a string, but I want that in ISO 8601 format. And so I'm giving the assistant, hey, this is what you need. I'm giving it some hints of how to format it and saying, this is what you need to use this tool. And then I'm going to create that tool and turn it on. All right, so let's go back to our simulator. And I'm going to say, okay, which one of these dates work best for me? I'm going to say Tuesday at 11:30. Tuesday at 11:30 works. And notice, like, I think the coolest thing about natural language is, like, you don't have to say Tuesday, April 23rd at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. Like, it just knows that. And also keep in mind that, like, I needed it to know the name of the user and the email address of the user to use this tool. Where did it get that information? It got it from the customer data. So it didn't even have to ask the user. Like, it has this customer data. It's using this AI personalization engine to get that information, and it just injects it into the tool. If it didn't have that information, it would just ask the user and say, hey, before I schedule a demo with you, like, what's your name? What's your email address? So I can send you an invite. And look, it scheduled an invite for me. So perfect. In, I don't know, like 5-6 minutes, we just built a demo scheduling assistant for Twilio AI Assistants.
Yeah, that's so impressive. That was a speedy little process. And not only that, you were able to kind of debug and add features as you went, which is really nice. I think that live building is so valuable.
So much fun too. It's so much fun. There was a time where Dom and I were building together, and he was configuring the assistant. Had an ngrok tunnel open and building like a backend API, and we were just like testing live together. And it was just so fast, but a lot of fun to build a Twilio AI assistant.
Yeah, awesome. That's very cool. Thank you, Chris. And you mentioned that moment when it like already knew the users or the website visitor, the person trying to schedule it knew their email and kind of that data. And you said it might just ask if they didn't have that, and then that data would get wrapped back up into that customer memory, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It would ask them for that context, say, what's your name? Why are you interested? And it would capture all that data and put it in the customer memory. So in the future, you can use that in the conversation, or you may use it for something else. You may use it for a marketing campaign
Right.
or some kind of targeted campaign you're doing.
Right, but one way or another, you've got it at that point, and so that's that kind of circular reinforcement that you mentioned of customization prompts more conversation, which prompts more customization.
Exactly.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to schedule a demo with you again soon here. I might have to go check out that bot. I guess I think I'm trying to think if I have like a fun fact question for you. What's like have you tried any super wacky assistants or building on assistants like just kind of for fun or?
Wacky. Yeah, this morning at breakfast, I was building my resume into the assistant, and I was like debating whether to show that today, but I didn't want to like put all my personal information out there. So,
That's fair. Yeah.
but it was actually pretty cool. Like, you know, I get like recruiters reaching out like weekly, right? And I'm just like, talk to my assistant,
Right. That would be
like,
cool.
see if I'm a good fit. And so like, it took all my job history, all my skill sets, and like, I asked it like, would Chris be a good fit as an astronaut? And it said no. And that's
Whoa.
totally true. I know nothing about space or rockets or any of that. But I asked it, would he be a good fit for sales? And it said, yes, absolutely. And it kind of like sold me in the process. So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, I'll just say I think you can be anything you want to be, Chris. So if you want to be an astronaut, there's time. But that is a cool
Until
cool
I
thing.
like blow up in the air, and then you're like, I gave him that advice to be an astronaut, and now like the spaceship is like hurling down to
man.
Earth. That's on you, Emily.
Okay, all right. Well, I take it back. Never mind. Don't do it. Awesome. Well, thanks, Chris. And we've had some awesome on Twitch. Folks have been talking a lot about things like this, like when will it be assistants talking to assistants? That's an interesting feature to imagine. But we have some other good questions coming in. We'll get to those as we go. But I want to keep us moving. So thank you so much, Chris. Appreciate that demo. That was awesome. And we'll see you again at the end, I think. No problem. Very cool. Next, we're going to keep it moving with more demos. And I mentioned kind of a wacky demo. At Twilio, we love to do a kind of fun, wild, what happens if demo. So I'm going to invite up a longtime Twilion, Dominic Kundell, Senior Manager of Product Management on the Emerging Tech and Innovations team. Hey, Dom, how's it going?
Hey, Emily, how's it going?
It is going very well. We just saw Chris build a really cool assistant in like 5 minutes or less, I think. And I'm excited to see how you're gonna kind of level up.
Yeah, I feel like Chris did a great demo, so there's no pressure for me. I think the only difference is, he built something that was useful. I don't think what I'm going to build is useful, but I also sort of like was watching the chat and sort of we'll see if we can pick up some of those things
Awesome.
and incorporate them into the demo.
Cool. Yeah. If you have ideas of how you want to tweak the bot personality or other things you want us to try, drop them in the chat as we go. We're still listening. And we've had some questions come through, Dom, also along the way about kind of the product and how it works. So once you're done with your demo, I might pull those back up and we can talk through some of those. Sound good?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Cool. I'll hand it over to you.
Cool. All right. So basically, as I said, we're gonna do. You can pull up my screen now. We basically have some idea of what we're gonna build now, but realistically, there's no safety nets here. So full disclaimer: if things go off the rails, let's just say this is intentionally. So basically, I just have an assistant here. We didn't really do anything with it yet. I saw a suggestion from Christine on the Twitch live chat that her bot would be called Perdita. So we're just gonna change that here.
Dom, it looks like maybe we're getting a little echo on you. I don't know if your speaker's playing out.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. We'll carry on. Okay. We got.
Is it me or is it you, Brent?
Okay. Right. We got Brent working on it in the back end. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm just gonna try to talk slower so it sounds more dramatic with the echo. Cool. All right, so what we're gonna do? Oh, cool, it's fixed. All right. So basically, we're just gonna tinker around with it, and one of the things that I saw in the comments or in the chat was to connect it with low code tools. And like one of the things that we try to be very intentional about is we try to build AI assistants in a way that doesn't box you into a use case. It's very much centered around APIs so that you can connect it to whatever channel you want it to connect it to, whether that's a Twilio channel or not a Twilio channel, as well as connect it to tools that you wanted to do, whether that is something, an API that you build yourself, like what Chris showed, or a low-code tool. So one of the things I've done here is I created this little tool here called, basically it's in if this then that, which is similar to, I saw the other two that were called up were Maker and Zapier. It's just, this one was the only one that had a Philips Hue integration, and my entire room has Philips Hue lights. So I figured, what is more chaotic than letting AI and the internet control my lights? So what we're going to do for now is I'm going to hook this up to the AI assistant, and then later on, I'm going to give you access to control that assistant. So we're going to see whether this results in, the three scenarios I could think about is: one, I have a party going on in my room; two, we get rate limited by Philips Hue because they're thinking I'm getting a denial of service attack; or three, you permanently break my lights and I need to get new lights. I think Brent also had a poll on that. If we want to kick that off, would love to hear what people think about that while I'm configuring this. So
you're a brave man, Dom.
Yeah, we're gonna see what's gonna happen here. So as I said, I have this configured, and it's a really basic setup right now, where basically, if we're receiving this webhook request, we're changing the color to a random color, and all of my lights are RGB, including my ceiling lights. So it might look really weird in here, or it might look like I'm a Twitch streamer. So we'll see. But basically we have a URL for this that can be triggered. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go into our assistant here and create a new tool. And so I'm going to call this setting the vibe. Use this if the customer feels like the mood is not quite right, it will change the lights in the room. And because sort of like the API response here is just going to be some random stuff, I'm just going to tell it here to ignore the response and just say that the vibe is on point now, or something similar. Cool. And then we're going to do a post request here. We're not going to pass any data in here, primarily just because I couldn't figure out how to do the JSON parsing and if this and that. If you understand how that works, let me know. But I'm going to put the URL in here. I have it in my clipboard, so I'm just going to copy this over. And then I'm going to scroll down, create the tool, and now I'm going to turn this on. And so before we're going to test it, what I want to show you is Chris showed you the interaction in the simulator. And we actually have a way for you to connect to a variety of different channels. One way is to use the REST API here to send messages to your assistant. And then there's also a library that we built to include it into your React application. So that's what we're going to do. In fact, I already have a little create React app set up here. And we're going to add the React SDK that we published onto this page. But before we can do that, we need to actually connect our assistant to Twilio Conversations. Because Twilio Conversations, for those who are not familiar with it, is a Twilio product that allows you to basically do omni-channel conversations. It allows you to use the same code to have conversations via SMS, WhatsApp, web chat, iOS, Android. And so we're building on top of that. And so I already connected it. We have a full guide on everything I'm walking through on the Twilio docs. But basically what we're doing is I have a conversation service here, and I set up a webhook to this that will basically, whenever there's a new message added to a conversation, just forward that to our assistant that we just built. And so with all of this, we can actually add the assistant to our application. For that, we need an access token. This is a conversations access token. Basically, I just took the code from the docs and put it into a little endpoint here that will generate an access token for us because you need to generate that on the back end. And then once we have that, we can actually start including the assistant here. So if we do have an access token, I'm going to add this assistant chat component out of the Twilio Labs or Twilio Alpha SDK. And I'm going to pass in the token here. And then I'm also going to pass in the assistant SID of the assistant that we built. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to paste this in. And now you can see it already refreshed here. We now have this little button here with a chat widget. My screen has sort of like a weird resolution for screen sharing. So apologies, I have to like zoom out a bit and might zoom in again. But now we have a web chat here. So I can write something like, hello. And we should see our assistant respond to that. We're planning to add things like streaming support to this. So you can actually get streamed responses. But here's the response. It just says, how can I assist you today? To show you that this is actually the assistant we're building here. We can go in and change this to say, you're a friendly pirate that loves to use dad jokes, because I think Christine brought those up, and loves to tell them along conversations. So I'm just going to save this and then go back here. And so ask them like, how are you doing? We'll see it should respond in sort of a more piratey language.
Pirate Dad.
Pirate Dad, exactly. Cool. So you can see it sounds more it sounds more piratey and put in a dad joke here. And so now, because we have this tool, if we go back here to set the vibe, I should be able to say something like, I don't know. So I'm complaining about the vibe just not being, suitable for Twitch, which is one of the channels that we're live on right now. And now you can actually see, I think behind me, I don't know if you noticed, but it changed red. We're just going to do this again just so you can see it. So we'll see what the light is going to change to. Right now it's pink, and there we go. Now it's green, so it is working. So we are able to control the lights. So far, so good. But as I said, it wouldn't be, fun without introducing some chaos here. So I actually have this on my ngrok tunnel, and so Brent, if you want to put in my ngrok tunnel onto the page onto the stream, we're gonna see if this is gonna work. I don't think this is very mobile friendly right now, admittedly, so if you're on mobile, maybe this is not gonna work, but try to convince it to change the lights, and we'll see if my lights just keep changing behind the scenes while I keep talking a bit more and like introducing a little bit more chaos to this. Because one of the fun things, as I said, about this is we try to build this as like flexible as possible for you to really do anything you want. And so one of the things we have is what we call UI tools. So basically, you might have seen in my code here, I have this confetti component. And basically what I want to do is I want to be able to have the assistant control the confetti component. Oh, someone changed the light twice. So it seems to be going awesome. But yeah, basically we're going to try to have the assistant control the confetti component on my website. And so you've seen basically the assistant being able to do REST API requests, but we're going to have it interact with the website. So the way we're going to do this is I have a little function here, show confetti, that will just make sure that this confetti component is actually being registered. And the way we're going to tell the assistant that it can do this is we start by passing in a tool handler here. And we're going to just give it the function, hey, light's changing again. This is totally not distracting, but I love it. So I added the show confetti function here, right? And this is just a function that I exposed locally on the website in the front end. And then the second thing we need to do is configure a UI tool here. Now, I already deployed, let me pull this from a different one. There is some pre-work you will have to do of deploying our developer samples, our code samples, and then you will get a URL that looks somewhat similar. I love that the lights are just changing behind me the entire time. So basically, if you're deploying our code samples, and again, this is all in the documentation that what I'm showing you right now, we can actually say something like show confetti, and I'll fill in the description in a second, but we can do a post request here to this URL that got deployed. Yours will look similar. And in the back here, the tool name, this has to be the function you passed into your tool handler. So ours was called show confetti. So I'm going to change this here. I'm just going to say, show confetti, and say in here, you must use this to display confetti. It just keeps changing. You must use this to display confetti every time the customer is grateful. And because we don't want it to say anything about this, just say do not acknowledge or say that you used this tool. Just respond to their prompt or their message. Cool. So as I said, we added in the back here the show confetti, and this matches up to this function. So when we save this as a tool and we enable this, now all of you, if you're writing something like, even just something simple like thank you, we'll see, oh, my connection dropped. So I need to refresh here. So if I write something like thank you, we should see in a second on my screen some confetti raining down. So now we actually had the assistant interact with the UI. And so you can have anything, whether that is in the chat or outside of the chat, you can entirely control what you want the assistant to interact with. So like confetti might be a fun gimmick, but there are use cases like, for example, you want the assistant to fill out a form. It can actually send the data over to the UI and fill out the form there. So yeah, I mean, this was sort of two of the things I wanted to show you. Really, we tried to build this as flexible as possible. And I think sort of one of the fun things that both Chris and I've been doing a lot over the last couple of weeks and months is to just see sort of like what things can we do just by leveraging the API and sort of connecting it to random channels or, connecting it to random tools, both physically, like my lights, or digitally, like interacting on the website.
Awesome. I'm over here trying to change the light color still. That was very cool, Dom. It's amazing to see how, this kind of conversational interface can really integrate with your physical space, the virtual space, like how it can impact more than just that conversation. And that's very cool. I wanted to pull up a couple of questions that came through. So we had a question about kind of like personal data and how, let me see if I can scroll back and find it. How the AI handles personal information, kind of understanding what it's allowed or not allowed to disclose. And maybe that's a good entree to talk a little about like guardrails and just thinking about safety and data privacy.
Yeah. So one, I'm going to turn off this light control again. So sorry for that. And just so that my laptop doesn't keep crashing or doesn't crash, I turned off the ngrok. So sorry for folks who are having a blast with this. But yeah, I think both of those are super important aspects, right? Like one of the fundamental aspects of what we thought about when we build or conceptualize the AI personalization engine, which controls basically the way that the AI accesses customer data, is that having those controls, right? Rather than pushing in the entire profile that you might have about a customer, you should be able to control what aspects are actually being sent in. And so it's also only sending things that are relevant at that point of the conversation. So it doesn't send in like a massive amount of your customer data. It just sends in what is relevant at that time. And then I think the other part is, as you said, guardrails and safety around that. So two of the things that we have built in sort of out of the box are we're doing both content moderation checks as well as prompt injection detection attacks and jailbreak detection attacks. Attack detection that way. So we're trying to do the best to help you protect your assistants. Now, I'll be transparent, like nobody in the industry has like figured out how to reliably protect you from prompt injection attacks. So to a degree, we're trying to reduce the risk, but you should always be conscious about what access you're giving an AI assistant to begin with, right? So one of the, like with tools, for example, our recommendation at the moment is to give access to APIs that only return the data that is relevant for the AI to operate and not try to I love the Simon Willis concept of prompt beg the AI to ignore something, right? So only give access to the things that you truly want it to have access to, rather than sort of pretending like you can sway it into not giving that information.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that prompt bag. You're like, all caps, do not pay attention to this. But much easier and much safer to just limit the amount of data you're sending, which applies across most development as a whole.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, I tend to use the analogy of you should really treat an AI assistant in general, whether it's a Twilio AI assistant or some other agent system you build, like a browser, where if you should only send data through your browser APIs, and I hope you do only send the data that you would be willing to for someone to see if they open the dev tools and look at the traffic. So in a similar fashion, you should treat an agent like, if it does have access, make sure it has the appropriate access. One of the things we do with our tools is when we do make an API request to your API, we will send an identity header, and that identity header is set by you when you invoke the assistant to begin with. So you can use that actually to enforce things like role-based access control, so that if you want to control whether someone can do the task or not, like if the assistant can do the task on behalf of the user or not, you can actually enforce that on a system level rather than try to do prompt begging.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And I love that analogy of thinking about it like client development, like a browser, and thinking about security that way. Awesome. Before we answer more questions, feel free to drop questions as we go in the chat. We have a few more minutes. We can stick around. I want to bring back the whole team though. So we've got Chris, Rachel, Dom, all here. Thank you so much, all of you. I just want to say for spending some time today with me and everybody out there watching. It's been fun to chat with you all and to hear about Twilio Alpha, which I am personally so excited about and excited to kind of continue to engage with. Let's go. With that, I think we had Christine asked, are there, and Dom, you kind of mentioned this maybe in terms of content moderation, but as a developer, can you kind of review what customers have sent to the bot or review conversations it's having with them? What are the debugging tools like there?
Rachel, you want to take that one, or?
Yeah, definitely. So we 100% want you to have a conversation history, so conversation logs. So obviously you have the simulator where you can see it very clearly, but if someone's interacting with your assistant in another channel, like Dom showed, or SMS, or any other channel that you can set up, we want to have conversations for you to be able to see, okay, here's like what the user said, here's what my assistant said, but also all of the debugging you saw in the simulator, like what tools were called and what knowledge was used. We want to have that level of tracing and visibility. So that's the plan, is to really allow you to debug. And in addition, we know feedback is super important. So in order to make your assistant better, and as you're continuing to change your prompts or update your knowledge, we want you as a builder to be able to give feedback within the simulator, within your channels of like, hey, this was a good response or not a good response, but also your end customers to say, hey, this assistant actually helped me or solved my problem or whatever they're reaching out to the assistant for, or this one didn't. So that feedback mechanism is also super critical there as well. Awesome. Yeah, it makes sense. Cool. I'm going to scroll through a little, but keep those questions coming. I think we've had some questions about kind of, let's see, what did we get? Oh yeah, sort of what's powering this and kind of expectations around speed. And obviously that's a big question when working with LLMs across the board. How are you all thinking about kind of the trade-offs of optimizing for speed versus returning solid responses?
Yeah. So right now, most of it is powered by OpenAI APIs. The way we built it, and sort of why I'm saying right now, is we build it in a way that we see this as an AI constellation where we really want to focus on you being able to build, the customer experience by defining all of the things that we showed you today. And we will take care of improving the right model selection based on your use cases. Because I think there's more nuance to this than, wholesale saying, oh, you should always optimize for quality over speed or vice versa, because there's different parts of work going on within sort of our AI assistant, but then also it's going to depend on the interaction mode that you have, right? So for example, we've had the AI assistant respond to emails or write emails, in which case you don't really mind the latency because nobody expects your email to immediately come back. But more importantly, you probably don't want it to, because then it immediately looks weird and unnatural. So, but like they're being much more thoughtful and like taking the time to generate a series of questions that you want to have answered is crucial. While for like something like an SMS or a WhatsApp or a more chat-based system, you might want to do like one follow-up question after another, where for voice, for example, latency is king, while you might not care too much about like having to process really deep questions and like dealing with a lot of nuance. So we really want to take all of that away from you, and for you not to have to constantly live in anxiety of like, oh, I'm subscribed to 30 AI newsletters to make sure that the latest model is picked, and that my RAG pipeline is optimized, and that I changed my vector database to the latest one that launched. Like even just today, Llama 3 came out. Like we don't want you to have to worry about that, and kind of try to keep up to date with that.
Nice. Yeah, there's so much changing all the time. I think I am subscribed to about 30 AI newsletters. So, but yeah,
we
I
all
feel that.
are.
Yeah, of course, of course. How many I read is another question. Before we continue, again, I just want to remind everybody, you can sign up for the developer preview today and be a part of answering these questions and provide this feedback on what your experience is like with building. And you can do that at twil.io/AI-assistants. And the link has been in the chat a couple times. We can drop it again, and include the words pizza box, mention pizza box in your use case description, and we'll give you a little bit of prioritized access on that wait list, bump you up the list. But if you've already signed up for the wait list, this happened to somebody earlier, how can folks reach the team? Yeah.
Yeah, we have an email, Twilio Alpha, all together at twilio.com. It's also on twilioalpha.com on the website if you want to hit us up. If you signed up already and you're like, oh my God, I forgot to put pizza box on there, just send us an email and we'll take care of it.
Awesome. Cool. Well, any last thoughts from maybe one takeaway, one thing you're really excited about in the next sort of phase of Alpha and AI assistants? We can go around the horn. Rachel, you mind starting?
I'm just excited to see the use cases. Like I was just thinking, Emily, when you mentioned how you get all these newsletters, I was like, oh, we should build an assistant that can just like read your email and then summarize your newsletters for you, so you don't have to read 30. Like there's just so many use cases, whether they're really customer, like business value, or just like things you can do to hack your life. So I'm just excited to see all the use cases out there.
For sure. Yeah, I am also excited about that. I feel like every day I wake up and there's kind of a new idea brewing somewhere, and I'm like, oh, what if I could just automate that? I could use AI. Very cool. Chris, how about you? What are you excited about?
I'm most excited to see some of the.
I think you're on mute.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can.
You do.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's just me. Carry on.
Okay. Yeah, I'm most excited about the value that generative AI is going to bring to companies. And I can speak directly for Twilio. Twilio has over 300,000 customers. And ideally, we'd have a support employee for each one of those customers to help them get started with Twilio and to launch successfully and to build great customer engagement experiences for their customers. But that'd be impossible. We can't hire 300,000 people, one-to-one relationship. But with the power of AI and AI assistants, we could give them all of the knowledge we know about Twilio up to date, all of our understandings about them and their use cases and what they care about, and guide them to launch successfully with Twilio. So I think that's what I'm most excited to see. First internally at Twilio, and then helping other customers repeat that motion.
I have to admit, I still can't hear you, but everybody else can. So
Yeah.
I'm so that's awesome. Or I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure whatever you said was very exciting, and I would agree with you. I'm confident, and I hope everybody else enjoyed listening to Chris. I want to listen to Chris too. But thank you, Dom. How about you? What are you excited for?
I mean, I think there's two parts. I think in the short run, I'm excited to see the more wacky use cases that people come up with, or the really creative use cases of what people are building with AI assistants. Like, one of the things that got me excited about Twilio in the first place, and that kept getting me excited over the last 8 years I've been here, is seeing people do things with Twilio that we didn't think about, right? Whether it is an actual legitimate business use case, or things like, people organizing their weddings, or, I mean, we've, like, to give a shout out to Christine, we controlled Roombas at her place, using Twilio that had basically a knife fight with balloons. So, like, I've always enjoyed sort of being able to see developers really use their creativity to build awesome things. In the long run, I'm just hopeful and excited to have more useful AI bots to interact with as a customer, because I don't know about you, but, like, the number one thing I try to do is to open a customer chat. I do not want to talk to someone on the phone. I want to be able to do other things at the same time. So being able to, like, chat with someone and actually get help, as opposed to, trying to navigate a field of, like, decision trees with things that are not actually my problem. That's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, 100%. I think as a consumer and as a customer, and especially personally as a millennial customer, I'm over the voice channel myself. I'll say that, and I'm excited for more here. Obviously, everybody prefers something different. I do enjoy a good phone call every now and then. And to your earlier point, Dom, I myself am really, I think, most excited about seeing this inspire creativity in you all who are the builders, whether you write code or not, or whatever you do in your day-to-day. It's likely that you are building, and that's such an exciting opportunity for us to give you things that help you do your work and express that creativity better. And I think this is an exciting next step in that, and we can't wait to see what you build with AI assistants, and more broadly in the future, how you kind of interact with Twilio Alpha and help us build a more exciting, more creative future. Awesome. I think that's it. I think we answered all the questions that I saw come through. We've heard what we're all excited about, and we got an awesome demo. Thank you again to everybody for joining us, to you all watching, wherever you are. We appreciate you being here. Tune in again. We stream from time to time. We have lots of ongoing developer events, and keep up with us and come to another event. I love to see you all in chat. I hope to see you again at something soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.